Yeah, competing stakeholders. All of our clients have stakeholders, and sometimes those stakeholders don't necessarily agree with each other. And sometimes they don't even agree with me. Believe that. And our job is to make that happen, and it's about communication. So I have families that are dealing with protective service agencies, and there's a competition there many times, but I try and bring them together. There's schools and families. Sometimes there's protective service workers and other protective service workers that don't agree with each other. Because I have the ongoing worker who's trying to make the family work better together, and the adoption worker that's trying to free the kid up and taking them to court to free them up for adoption. And they don't necessarily see things the same way. I have head injury survivors that have doctors that think that they should stay home and should be calm, and that's not what they want to be. You have to help people to develop a sense of agency. Our consumers don't have a sense of agency. They don't have a sense that I can make changes in your life. All of you have that. You wouldn't be here if you hadn't decided, I'm going to graduate from high school and I'm going to go to college. And you did it. How many of our consumers said, this is what I'm going to do, and actually did it? That's the first step, is really developing a sense that I can make change in my life. In order to understand the sense of agency that folks have, I have to be respectful to realize that many of them live under different rules than I have. I've talked with people who are being evicted. Now, I know what it's like, how it would work if I were evicted. If I stopped paying my rent, sooner or later my landlord would evict me. Now, I know it would take them at least 9 months to a year to evict me, because I wouldn't show up for the first hearing, and then I'd complain that I didn't get the notice, and that. I'd say, oh, yeah, okay, I'll pay them. I'd stretch it out for a year. And I know that I could do that. I have never given that advice to my consumers, because I know that there are landlords who will hire the local gang to come to your house and throw all your furniture out the window tonight because they want you gone tomorrow. They don't have the same rules that we have. They don't have the same protections. Part of developing a sense of agency is instilling hope. Main Street culture just takes hope for granted. Others really have to work at it. And they usually come with very low expectations. We have to remain flexible. You couldn't get your clients, we had a hard time trying to get clients to get jobs. We couldn't get them to get jobs that really worked with them, so we started our own consumer-run business. We started a coffee shop, and then expanded that to a catering service, and we had to be flexible. You couldn't insist the world is going to be the way I want it to be. You have to take it as is. You have to expect a crisis. Crisis is constant flux. People lose housing, they get placed in foster care, they get arrested. The protective service workers change. Kids wind up moving and going to a new school, and that's very disruptive. Collaboration is key. Another difference in working with this population is that it's very important to do collaboration. All the collaterals are really extremely valuable to you, or they will screw you in the end. You have to know, and you have to make it, help them to work with you. And the key to that, of course, is communication, working together. You being the force for collaboration. You have a probation officer, and that probation officer can either cut your guy a break, or they can pull his butt in and give him a real talking to him, tell him they're going to revoke their probation if they don't show up to therapy from now on. That's good to know. You have to know who your collaterals are. And you have collaterals, and you have to understand who they are and value them. I was working with the kids in foster care. I had two boys who had gone into foster care. One of them was 9 and the other was probably 5. And I talked to a mom, foster mom, just after Christmas. And I said, how was their Christmas? And she said, let me tell you what happened at Christmas. Their mom came over with their new boyfriend and gave them Christmas presents, which was the toys from a Happy Meal. The food was gone, but gave them the toys from a Happy Meal. And they looked very disappointed. And the older boy said to the younger, oh, look at this. These are special figures. These are going to be worth a lot of money someday. We got to hold on to these because this could be really valuable. And the young guy broke into a big smile. Foster mom thought that was great. And later that night, she went in and she tucked him in and she said, I was very proud of you today. He started crying and she said, you were so brave and you really, you were so grown up. You helped your brother. And he said, I didn't want to be grown up. I've had 6 kids. They all wanted to be grown up right away. They all thought they were more grown up than they were. They all acted like they were more grown up. And here's a guy who was 9 years old who wanted a childhood, who wanted to be a child. And he had found that he was in a foster home where he had a foster mom who would allow him to be a child. Do you want to have that person as your collaborator? Want to collaborate with that foster mom? Do you want to hear that story? Then you better collaborate with them. How practice is the same. They really suffer from pretty much the same disorders you and I do. I have anxiety disorders, ADHD, depression, eating disorders, substance abuse disorders, same stuff. If you're going to work with that population, you have to keep current. You have to learn the latest. What you can never do is substitute mission for quality. It's very tempting. You'll be tempted to do it. No one will blame you. People will say, well, I didn't get the best, but at least they got something. Don't do that. Always make it the best. Learn the latest. We're constantly learning the latest techniques, innovations, best practices, challenging ourselves. You don't want to sacrifice quality because you have a mission that's compelling. If you do, you lose respect. You lose respect for the consumer and for yourself. Disadvantaged people can spot a phony a mile away. You have to keep in the present on every particular case. It can never be one more story about abuse. You have to be with that client and present with them. When it becomes another story, then you're done. They need a new therapist. Relationship is central. You can't help a client that you don't like. That's what I found. I've had clients that were very unlikable. I did a group of adolescent sex offenders, and they were all unlikable. Some more so than others. They had done terrible things, and I had a hard time liking them, and I wound up realizing I'm not a therapist. I'm a psychoeducational teacher or something. I'm teaching them the steps. I'm teaching them how to develop a plan to prevent reoffending. I'm doing didactic stuff. And that's not therapy. And I realized I'm doing that because I really don't like them. So I decided that I have to learn how to like them. I tried for several weeks, and I was not finding it. I don't know why I did this. I brought a book into group and started the group by reading the book, The Runaway Bunny. You read The Runaway Bunny? It's a terrific book. The bunny runs away, and mom says, if you run away and you become a bird, I will become a tree, and you will build a nest in my home. If you do that, then I will become a sailboat and sail away. If you become a sailboat and sail away, I will become the wind and blow you back. And I'm reading it, and I look around, they're crying. There's nothing that makes you love an offender like crying. You know, I realized that these kids had never had a parent, maybe a mother, who would stick with them like that, who really cared for them the way their runaway mother's bunny did. And that was the day I started to like them, and that's the day we really became a therapy group. Sometimes all you can do is relationship. All you can do is to be a witness to their life. Christmas Day, I had little kids, and we're watching them open their presents, and I'm on call, I get beeped in the middle of it. Go take my phone call, and there's a woman, so on the other end of the line, should I take my medicine? Me, you should take medicine. Tell me, what's going on? I'm in the hospital, and should I take my medicine? Yeah. Why in the hospital? Just had a baby. And I'm realizing she's surrounded by doctors. She can ask any one of them about taking her medicine. And you can't ask me because I'm not a real doctor. And so I said, has anybody been up to see the doctor, see the baby? She said no. So we talked a little. I asked if the baby was cute, what does he look like, and you have a boy or a girl. We left, finished opening presents, and before Christmas dinner, I went and visited her in the hospital. Best Christmas they ever had. I had to go back and confess myself to the multidisciplinary team. That might have been breaching of boundaries. I don't regret it. You told me I was wrong and shouldn't have done it. I don't regret it. My only regret is I should have brought my kids with me. It's a rare privilege when people let you join with them and see their life. And you have a shot at helping them. And sometimes all you have to do is to be a witness of their life. I was doing a group in our substance abuse group in our day program. I had a 23-year-old woman who was a beautiful, beautiful person. Had lived a hard life, had been drug abused, had been a heroin addict, wound up supporting her habit as a sex industry worker. She was HIV and AIDS symptomatic. She was dying. And as the group progressed, she said she didn't feel dying. What she couldn't come to grips with was forgiveness. She had done so many things to so many people, and she didn't think they could ever forgive her. And so we talked and said, yes, her mother did forgive her. She was living with her mom. And it turns out what she was really saying is, God will never forgive me for what I've done. I saw that group come around and just hold her. Not physically, but just hold her. And people talk about their relationships with God and how that she will never earn forgiveness, and none of us ever will, but God will forgive you anyway. And it's something you can't earn. And just to hear them talk to her about that and speak from their hearts was probably the most moving spiritual experience that I've ever had. And at the end of it, I looked at her face, and she shone because she felt like she had been forgiven. And that look on her face, I envied her. You have to maintain boundaries. Working with the population, it's hard. It is very tempting to help them. And once you help them by doing something for them, you're no longer their therapist. I had a woman who protective services was going to take her child because she didn't have a crib, And they were coming tomorrow, and if she didn't get a crib between now and then, and I went to the Salvation Army and got her a crib. Went back and confessed to my supervisor, got reamed out badly, I got taken off the case, which was the right thing to do. I was definitely wrong in doing that. Parenthetically, I wound up meeting her baby that I bought the crib with years later, because her baby, the grandchild of my client, was now on our early intervention program. But I realized that what you have to work on is helping people to develop their own renewable resources, not to be dependent on you. So you have to have your boundaries, you have to maintain them no matter how hard that is. You have to respect people to make their own decisions, to walk their own road to recovery. And it may not be the same as yours. They will make decisions that aren't the same as yours, and you have to respect those. You can't save them, and thinking that you can save them is disrespectful. You always know that what they did makes perfect sense to them. It's hard not to help, but you can't be a therapist and a helper, providing them resources. You have to teach them how to get renewable resources themselves. Client choice is central. Clients sometimes don't want a choice. They don't think they deserve a choice. They think they'll screw it up. They don't want a choice. I had a 15-year-old girl who was the head of her treatment team in early intervention. She was telling speech therapists, occupational therapists, voice therapists, nurses, counselors, psychologists, what to do for her child. She didn't want to do that. She felt very uncomfortable, and we had to encourage her and empower her to do that. Sometimes clients think that they don't deserve a choice. We were able to bring family group counseling to protective services. Family group conferencing, is a technique which was developed in Australia, brought to London, and then is now in the United States. We've been involved with it nationally through the American Humane Society. And it's really bringing families together, all of the extended families together in protective service situations, and asking them, what do you want to do and what are you willing to do to help this family survive? Rather than the protective service agency saying, this is your treatment plan and you have to do these things. Tremendous difference when people develop their own plan. Clients are often surrounded by people who think they don't deserve a choice. They have parents, their own parents who are concerned about their grandkids. They have social workers. They have rehabilitation workers, probation workers, psychiatrists that think they should take the medications just the way I tell you to take it and not really listen to the way you want to take it. Okay. I'm running out of time. And I guess I don't have any time for this, but gee, put this on your list of things to do, okay? We need career development for everybody. It is amazing that people think that folks who are disabled would be lucky to have any job. And if I talk to somebody who's disabled, they say, give me a job, any job, I don't care. They're both wrong. It does matter. It is important for people to have jobs that are consistent with their interests, their values, and abilities. And it doesn't matter if you're a disabled person trying to get off Social Security. If food service and kind of repetitive work, that kind of conventional stuff isn't for you, then you shouldn't be working at McDonald's. If you're an artistic person, then you should be doing that. And people haven't quite figured that out.